All right, let's discuss a little bit more in depth an action by Elon that he's charging forward with that, in effect, is an attempt to destroy the Trump GOP, destroy Trump, his ability in the midterms to keep seats, and then whoever the next presidential candidate is. And I don't think it's been discussed enough in those terms. Now, obviously, most salaciously and fascinatingly, you have Elon, who used to be Trump's buddy, after posting that thing that then he apologized for, saying Trump's in the Epstein files, that's why he's not releasing them. He then kind of looped back to this now that the Trump DOJ is saying, hey, there's nothing else new about Epstein. There's not going to be any more bombshells. And Elon was posting graphics like this, which is someone putting on clown makeup as they say, we will release the Epstein list. We just need more time. And then the Epstein list is on my desk, and then there is no Epstein list. So he's posting that type of stuff. And that grabs a lot of people's attention for obvious reasons. He said, what's the time? Oh, look, it's no one has been arrested o'clock again. And it's a clock that says the official Jeffrey Epstein pedophile arrest counter, and it's at 0. And then he's posting stuff not on that subject, but stuff like, what the heck was the point of Doge if he's just going to increase the debt by $5 trillion? Well, you did literally cost a bunch of lives. But other than that, what did you accomplish? I don't know. That's a good question. But what might actually turn out to be the most consequential part of all of this, and that's what I want to zero in on here, is him starting the America Party. He's announced, you'll hear the post read in this CNN report, that he's going to start a third party. And I want you to think for a second, because I gave my take on the idea standalone. But now I'm thinking, wait, why did I go, that's not going to work? No. Do it. Do it, Elon, please. Because who's going to vote for the America Party if it's Elon's party? If you can find a liberal, if you can find someone who doesn't like Trump, who has never voted for Trump, who's not right-wing, who will trust Elon enough to support one of his candidates, I'd like to meet that person, but probably they don't exist. So this would be siphoning away votes of people who otherwise maybe would vote for Republicans, right? And that could end up, even if they barely get any of the vote, which they would barely get any of the vote, it could still make the difference, because you're not going to take away votes from Democrats. What person would vote, as I just said, but you might take away from Republicans. And him trying to start this party is a direct rebuke of Trump, him saying that Trump wiped out any work he did, which his work was terrible, whatever, from his perception, at Doge, and that Trump is a part of the Uniparty now, which is a slur in their world. Uniparty, the deep state, and rebuking him over Epstein stuff and different elements. So with that in mind, here's Scott Jennings going, why can't we just be friends again?
Welcome back to State of the Union. My panel is here now. We got to start with the big news from Elon Musk. Here's what he said. Quote, when it comes to bankrupting our country and waste and graft, we live in a one-party system, not a democracy. Today, the America Party is formed to give you back your freedom. Scott Jennings?
It's harder than it looks to start a political party. We'll see where they go with it. My humble advice to Elon, who I admire very much, actually, is that you may be dividing the forces of people who want to save Western civilization to the benefit of the people who don't. And so
tired of that talking point. Yeah. Want to save Western civilization. Because then by default, not by default, he said explicitly, us, because we don't think you should rip away money from poor people and give it to the rich, which is literally what Trump did in this bill that then added a bunch of the debt to do so. We don't believe that's good. Apparently, we don't want to save Western civilization or whatever.
The forces of people who want to save Western civilization to the benefit of the people who don't. And so to the extent that this effort would divide conservatives and Republicans against each other, that would be helpful, because it would leave the country to people who want unfettered immigration, who don't share your fiscal views, and so on and so forth. So we'll see where it goes. I sort of hope everybody puts the band back together the way they had it back in 2024, because when everybody was working together, things worked quite well.
He keeps doing that. There's someone who closes with me like, I just wish we could you remember when you were friends? You remember when you were friends? It's so fun. Which Can you? Why does they all ignore all the stuff Elon said about Trump? It's so weird for him to be like, yeah, Trump's covering up the Epstein files and he's bankrupting America. And then Scott's like, let's just be friends again. He alluded to him being a pedo and you're saying be friends again? I guess it's just because of the concern I'm talking about. This could really harm Republicans in the midterms, and it's a direct assault against Trump individually. But as I said, as a party, so it could do a lot of damage, but as a party, don't start thinking that this is some plausible idea to win significant power. Here's Harrington.
Yeah, this entire thing makes very little sense to me. It makes about as much sense as selling sand in the desert. What are we talking about here? What is the size of Elon Musk's base? Well, I calculate it to be about 4%, just 4%, 1, 2, 3, 4% of all voters. What is that base made up of? Well, it's those who view Elon Musk favorably and the GOP unfavorably. We're talking just about 4% of all voters out there, because it turns out most of the people who like Elon Musk already like the GOP already. That is, they already have a party for him. In my mind, there is just no base for Elon Musk's third party in the electorate, at least initially speaking.
Yeah, and with a lot of money, which he has, and some Republicans who are Republicans. They would never vote for Democrats. So it's not like they would have voted for Democrats and then they're instead going to vote for Elon's. It's going to be people who were Republicans, who were Trump people, but for some reason got disillusioned. And maybe Elon gets them to go, here's a third option, instead of just going, wow, Republicans are better than Democrats, in those voters' heads. While we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button. I appreciate all of you so much. But 4% can swing elections. Will that actually materialize? Maybe he can materialize it with a lot of money. That's going to do nothing for his goals. To change the uniparty, to change our debt problem, to change the terrible bill and all these things, you would need actual power, and you're not going to get that through this third party. It's just not going to happen. You saw it there in the numbers. But again, you must be a quirky person to like Elon and not have favorable opinions of the GOP. Like, imagine just liking Elon. Just when you think who's going to fix our political problems, in your head, it's Elon. The chains of our bureaucracy. That Elon.
I am become meme.
That Elon. Probably a very interesting person. Now, because I brought up the Epstein stuff, let me quickly show you some of what Levitt had to say about all of that we covered on the morning show and also in today's
What a stupid question.
main show.
Caroline. Okay, so the FBI looks at the circumstances surrounding the death of Jeffrey Epstein. According to the report, this systematic review revealed no incriminating client list. So what happened to the Epstein client list that the Attorney General said she had on her desk?
Well, I think if you go back and look at what the Attorney General said in that interview, which was on your network on Fox
I've
News.
got the quote.
Go ahead.
John Roberts said, DOJ may be releasing the list of Jeffrey Epstein's clients. Will that really happen? And she said, it's sitting on my desk right now to review.
Yes, she was saying the entirety of all of the paperwork, all of the paper in relation to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes. That's what the Attorney General was referring to, and I'll let her speak for that. But again, when it comes
all of the paperwork, all of the paper. She had lots of paper, but they said client list. No, but it was just a lot of paper. Look, this is the correct look on all of our faces right now from Ducey. Huh? This is y'all's. It's not like we went, here's what you need to, and if you don't do this, then you said you had all this stuff, and then now it's not present. That's the confusing part, to say the least, in this.
of what happened.
Caroline, the DOJ and FBI have now concluded there was no Jeffrey Epstein client list. What do you tell MAGA supporters who say they want anyone involved in Jeffrey Epstein's alleged crimes to be held accountable?
This administration wants anyone who has ever committed a crime to be held accountable, and I would argue this administration has done more to lock up.
I'm telling you, I hate this. I hate doing this, but I have to. It's just such a simple political take, but just go with me for a second. Can we again just imagine that this is Biden and he goes, I have the list, and then there's no list, and then gets asked about it and goes, "We think anyone for any crime ever should be in jail." It would be such a, and to MAGA's credit, they are pretty upset about this, a lot of them. So, all right. But it would be, they would be making bigger allegations about what was going on, I guess is my point.
Bad guys than certainly the previous administration. And the Trump administration is committed to truth and to transparency. That's why the Attorney General and the FBI Director pledged at the President's direction to do an exhaustive review of all of the files related to Jeffrey Epstein's crimes and his death.
And after reviewing, we lost them. We had them, but we lost them. No, I already gave a more in-depth take on that, so I won't do it again. But very interesting and difficult from a PR standpoint, if nothing else. Very strange. Now, I want to remind you about Elon's big issue with this bill, which is the lack of fiscal responsibility. Here's economist Justin Wolfers explaining even when Trump says he's cutting taxes, in a sense, not really.
McConnell, let me come back to something. I think this is a really important point, particularly in conservative circles. The president could say that he's cut taxes today, but he hasn't. What he's done is he's cut taxes on me today, but he hasn't cut spending by very much, which simply means someone has to pay for it, but it's not me. Maybe it's my kids. So what he's done is he's transferred taxes from the current to future generations. The only way to cut taxes is to cut spending, because every dollar you spend creates a tax obligation.
Right.
And so if you want to boast about haven't done anything about taxes, it's the spending side you've got to work on. And on the spending side, the only thing that he really did was, not only, it's a really big deal in people's lives, cutting Medicaid for what looks like it'll be round about 16 or 17 million Americans.
Right.
So even what is the accomplishment of this is not an accomplishment. It's really stunning. I saw someone defending it and they said, well, no, there is no pros and cons list because it's just pros. Everything about it's awesome. I don't know how. I really do not know how people see it that way. They're lying, I guess. One thing I want to issue a correction on this show. We care about facts, and I want to issue a correction on something I said, which is I covered this trade letter that Trump sent out, and I missed that he addressed it to a woman, Her Excellency, but then addressed it later down as Mr. President. They forgot to switch out. These are so copy and paste, these deals that are just letters saying what we're going to tariff people at, that they forgot to correct the gender. Like, we've all done that when you've sent out, for example, a bunch of sales emails and you have it all written and you just go, Dear Jaden, and then Dear Cole, and you forget to do it. You send it and, oh, this is so embarrassing. You are our most important client. I just respect what your company does so much. And you put the wrong name. And they're doing that with global trade. That's how haphazard this is. Unbelievable. Share your thoughts in the comments.